Good evening. Welcome to today's video. Scott Engler. I'm a published author and thought leader on contemporary job search strategies, career transition, and really optimizing LinkedIn for professional branding, creating the type of online presence where close to 95% of the recruiters are there looking for top talent. So today's topic was based on conversations that I had with prospective clients. And I had a client ask me a question on our call last week. I don't think any clients ever asked before, and I appreciate it because I stopped and had to think about it. He's like, Scott, where do you get your ideas to write all these articles? Like, what inspires you? And I was like thinking about it. I'm like, well, a lot of the times it's like, something that I see that maybe job seekers are making some sort of mistake and they're not seeing, and how, I could write an article to help them. A lot of times though, articles will it's kind of this flow where like I'll have calls with like current clients and prospective clients, and like the challenges and the stories are like identical, or like there's just like this paralleling theme for the week, and then that's why I'll write an article about it. So long story short, that's what this video is about today, because I had two calls with executives today, and their stories were legitimately like identical, and it was interesting, and that's why I want to share a video on it. So the stories were, both of them had they're still working somewhere, and they had paid a professional. One had paid a professional for help with his resume. The other had paid a professional for help with their LinkedIn. And so I was like, oh, that's great. How have the results been? Are you getting any opportunities? And they're like, yeah, I'm getting, more opportunities than I was before. And then what unfolded in our conversation was they were getting more opportunities, but they weren't congruent with what they really wanted. In fact, the guy, that had the resume service said on average, the job interviews he was actually going in for were half of what he was being paid. And the lady I spoke to, who's a CMO, said exactly the same thing, that she wasn't finding roles that were she's a CMO. She wasn't finding roles that were at that level. They were all lower marketing level roles. So both of them said the same thing. So it was kind of this weird, they were almost not aware that they weren't really getting quality results, because it's like, well, I'm getting more interviews, but they're offering to pay me half as much, and they're at roles that are much lower than my experience and salary range. So here's the deal. When we looked at it, I was looking at this guy's resume, and I was honestly shocked when he told me that he had paid someone for it. And I said, hey, listen, I got to be honest with you. I look at resumes all the time. I've been doing this for a while, and they really didn't do a good service for you here, and here's why. And I pointed out a few things, and he's like, oh, well, you should have seen my resume before. I'm like, well, I'm sure there's an improvement, and it's not horrible, but the things to keep in mind when you are an executive, when you are going for these top level roles, and you're living in places like they do, or it's like Washington, D.C., and I think the other one was in Chicago. It's like the level of competition, and I'm laughing because it's like, look, the level of competition is so high. So to just be okay with something that's like mediocre and not even attracting the results that you want, my hope would be that if you've made it to that kind of position, that would never be the type of role that you want. You want the best, right? You're someone that has really accomplished a lot in your career, and I'm sure one of the attributes that has gotten you there is that you are highly determined, you're highly motivated, and you, unlike other people, are interested in peak results. That's just my assumption. Now, not everyone may be like that in these roles, but when I speak to people all the time, I'm always amazed at the level of accomplishments. So, for example, with the first guy, he's telling me his frustrations. He's like, I don't know why I'm getting all these, interviews, but they're like not even seeing like what I've done. And he's like, I did X at this company and X at that company. And so, I'm looking at his resume. I'm like, Mark, you just told me some really impressive quantifiable data and reputable companies. I don't see any of that on your resume. And he's like, where he's looking at it, he just didn't say anything. He's like, shoot, you're right. So, what unfolded with both these things and both these situations is that they really weren't getting a quality service, and they weren't getting it from people that were up to date and experts in their field. The lady that got the LinkedIn thing, I quickly pointed out two things just from looking at her profile for 5 seconds that she didn't get from like a 6-week course with someone else. And the first one was like, hey, I'm not going to say her name, but I'm like, you mentioned that you're getting like these lower level marketing opportunities that aren't where you're at. Yet in your headline, it says marketing officer. You didn't specify chief marketing officer. That's a really important thing to add in there, is the chief marketing officer, not only for, keyword optimization, but also so you're congruent with the level of the role, and it's like, so what unfolded was, in that situation, she told me, well, I never had one-on-one time with this woman. I was just showing up to pre-recorded classes every week. So again, that's where it's like, the quality thing and what you're really wanting, and how important is this to you? So that's really why, I'm choosing to say this. And like, here's the thing. It is perfectly normal for us to want to skimp out on things. Sometimes, I know I do it. We're all, most people I know myself, are guilty of doing this in certain situations. It's like, hey, do I want to pay, X amount to have my car fixed? That's something that needs to get. It's like another $500. Of course not. But I want my car running optimally. Do I want to spend X amount on a flight to somewhere? It's like, not really, but like, I want to get to my destination. And so it's the same thing here. And, I'll just give you a recent example. It's like, we could all be guilty of this. So my friend I was talking to him over the weekend, and he said he was having some issues with his car, and his car was like, the tire was just really wobbly. And so he said he was like, started looking at a few YouTube videos and, tried a few things to fix it. And then like the car was still wobbly, but the car had like broken down like a few weeks before or something. And then it was working again. Basically, the long story short was like, he experimented with trying to do it on his own, avoided at all costs bringing it to the mechanic to actually spend money on it. And then what happened was his car actually broke down. He didn't have it for work. Luckily, nothing worse happened. But the moral of the story was he ended up bringing it to the mechanic and realized that it was nothing like he had diagnosed himself, because he brought it to people that's what their job is. They're professionals. And, while sometimes it's admirable, there's nothing wrong with trying to do something on your own. And we may sometimes have to go through that process, right, of, trying to do it on our own and seeing that we're not getting the results that we want. And that really is a part of life. Sometimes we may need to go through that. But at some point, if you're not getting the kind of results that you want, you really need to ask yourself why. And you really need to weigh how big of a priority is it to you, and how important is quality to you. So one of the challenges that I find in our more online world is like a service like, getting help with your LinkedIn, or a career coach, or, executive resume writer. It's a little harder to navigate those things, right? It's harder to navigate maybe some of the credibility sometimes. There's so many coaches out there and so many people that are saying that they're the best or whatever. And, sometimes it's like, there's a little bit more work that needs to be done to find out, like, do price quality comparing with people that specialize in this area, versus like, if you're just, looking to book flights, you could go on like, just a website, like Orbitz or something. It'll show you like all the different websites and how they compare. Or like if you're looking for a hotel, it could be really easy just to see, hotels in your area and what the price is and kind of what the amenities are. So, unfortunately, it's not like that with, things like a resume writer, or, what I do is helping people optimize their LinkedIn and branding, because that's where literally 94% of recruiters are looking for top talent, and most job seekers aren't actively using it. So there's a huge, it was 35% of only 35% of job seekers were actively using LinkedIn for job searching. I don't know if that percentage is still the same in 2017. That was 3 years ago. Not sure what the difference is now, but there's that huge imbalance, right? 94% of recruiters looking for you, only 35 using it actively. So there's a lot of opportunity on that site. And just to give you an example of the price thing is like, look, the guy, you know, I'm like, okay, this, you know, I was trying to not be, to be a little mindful that, you know, he did pay for it, but like also be like, I'm like, listen, man, you know, cause we had already, you know, had enough of a rapport where I felt comfortable saying, look, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Like, this is, they did not do a good job for you. I mean, I look at resumes all the time. Like, I'm actually shocked that you paid for this. And he's like, well, you know, I was like, I paid like, you know, someone $300 to do this. And so my thought was, and we didn't, you know, we kind of I had to get off, so we didn't have as much time to get into that on this call. But my thought was like, well, you get what you pay for. And here's the thing where a lot of people just may not know is the professional resume writers that I've collaborated with, that I've known over the years, that are the top ones that, you know, win the awards and have, you know, good client testimonials. The industry, it's for executive professional resume writing and CV, it's about 1,500 to 2,500 across the board. And so I know that. And I just see it at the same time when I'm either, you know, collaborating, referring over, whatnot. And that's like the price range. And so, you know, when someone tells me they spent $300 and this guy was a really big CEO and now he's like consulting, he spent $300 on a resume service. It's like, well, dude, you got what you paid for. And if you're at this high level role where the competition's fierce, my hope would be that like, you're the kind of person that like, you want to have the best, you want to have the highest quality. If your career, it's one of the most important areas of most of our lives, you know, assuming we're not a trust fund baby or whatever, you know, our careers, you know, taking care of our families, supporting ourselves, being passionate about it, getting paid what we're worth, not taking a job at half the salary 25 years into our career. I mean, why would you want to do that to yourself? And so really, it's like, if you're not willing to make that investment in yourself, you're only selling yourself short, is the thing. You're selling yourself short. And it's worth, you know, I think part of the purpose of this video is just to challenge you. If you're not getting the quality of results, you may very well be getting a few more hits on your LinkedIn because you got some service with all pre-recorded, you know, videos from someone, but like, who are they? You know, how do they verify? You know, it's like on this call with this lady, she's showing me what this lady did for her LinkedIn through the videos. And I'm like, I gotta be honest with you. I'm like, you know, these things look good. I'm like, but like, these are like the same mistakes I see that 95% of job seekers make on their profiles all the time. And I know because I look at them all the time, and you have the same ones. And that's where, you know, I learned that she didn't actually have that one-on-one call with this lady. And so, and you know, the other thing is that a lot of those things change. And so that's where quality comes in, is like, I'm always updating and improving and learning new things, because what worked last year doesn't necessarily work the same this year. And I shared with her, I'm like, look, I wrote this like well-received article 3 years ago, top 10 ways to use LinkedIn to find a job. It won a Manager's Choice Award. And then, you know, earlier this year, I actually went back and I rewrote it because I realized that the top 10 things weren't the same in 2017. And so, you know, you get what you pay for. What is the person doing for you, and how could you get optimize the best for what you get? And it's like, just listen to what they're sharing. You know, are they delivering quality results? I deliver customized. Every single person I work with gets a customized service for them. It's like when you go into Nordstrom's, right, and you get a suit, they actually, if anyone's ever gotten a suit at Nordstrom's, they custom fit it for your particular body. They give you a high quality material that is ideally going to last you the rest of your life, and they do such an amazing job. It's like, that's how they stand above the rest. And that's the kind of service that I deliver, is, you know, having worked with the top, you know, and this isn't tooting my own horn, these are facts. I've literally collaborated with the top experts in the world, not just my hometown, in the world in recruiting and career development. For my books, I consult for recruiter.com. Now it's like, these are the best of the best. Or like I tell people, I'm like, they're not like public figures per se, but like, they're like the Michael Jordans and Magic Johnsons of the my industry. And so that's the kind, the difference of the quality of result, the quality of information, the quality of insight, the quality of data, the quality of understanding that I'm bringing to the table for people. So, my point is that if this is an important thing for you and you're not willing to invest, couple thousand, whatever, maybe a fifth of your monthly income for a month or two in this area of your life, if you're not willing to do that, and like you're willing to take a job at half your salary, if like you're not willing to put up that money to get what you deserve, and even better, right? Like what I'm always adamant with my clients, let's get you to the next level, because usually people have hit a ceiling and they're not getting paid what they really could be getting paid. So even someone going from like 250K a year to 125, like some people are willing to do, is like, no, let's go to 300 and do it somewhere you love, like we want to be growing. And so, that's just my message today, is like, if you're, I have compassion for people that are frustrated in this area, but like the bottom line is, I personally have had to sacrifice a lot more than that to get to the next level of my business and in other areas of life where it was scary. I didn't know how it was going to work out, and I did it. And I know that's been the experience for a whole lot of people. And so it's like, for someone that's like, not willing to put up a couple grand to get help on their, LinkedIn makeover, and then it's like they're going on some nice trip that's going to be like $3,000 or $4,000. I'm just like, well, where's your priorities? And it's like, I don't feel sorry for you when you continue to complain. And so that's really the message, is like, if you want something excellent, if you're looking for something peak and you're not getting that, then go to someone that is the peak person in that area. It doesn't have to be me, but look, quality and value shop. Look at what you're getting. Are you getting a 6-week course with pre-recorded videos from God knows how long ago? Or are you getting someone, that actually speaks to staff members within the job searching area right now that are giving you relevant information you can't find on LinkedIn, you can't find on an outside source? It's like, that's the value, is you're actually getting inside information from me that you could not access anywhere else. That's like, it's like if you're doing stock trading or something, it's like, that's kind of the same thing. So, if that sounds like something that you're wanting for yourself, I'm going to put my information and my URL for my LinkedIn below. As I tell people, I do get a lot of requests on LinkedIn, So please put serious inquiry in the headline. And, we could talk about next steps for my LinkedIn profile optimization, branding, and level 1 networking package that's been really popular for executive level positions. And please, if you like this video, you feel like it could help other people that may be in the same boat as you, please, share it with your friends or coworkers or whoever. And, hit the subscribe button for me so you could get updated on more podcasts and videos that I'm doing. Till next time, take care.